Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur outdoor decorator. And welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do here is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want you to be part of the conversation, so find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Cameo, on the Instagram at Colt S. Taylor. And if you have missed a previous episode, or you showed up right an hour late to the show over the weekend, you can always catch the podcast version of the show, usually Sunday afternoons, starting Sunday afternoons, at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. And as always, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com to follow up on all of my regular adventures. All right, my friends, it's time for this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, some history. Usually I do current events, but I do like to denote historical milestones. This milestone was actually just yesterday, on December 3rd. It was the anniversary of the first text message ever sent. Yes, that's right. The first short message system, SMS, text message system. Text was sent on December 3rd, 1992. Yes, my friends. That's right. The text message is over 25 years old. Might be older than some of you listening. He wrote, this from engineer Neil Papworth on his computer, wrote Merry Christmas and sent that to the cell phone of Vodafone director Richard Jarvis. The first text message ever sent was a holiday greeting sent then. Now, obviously in 1992 there wasn't much in the way of cell phone coverage, so this was a very, very limited feature for cell phones. In fact, beepers were much more prevalent in the 90s than text messages were. And you can send little messages to beepers as well before cell phones became more common, and therefore kind of took over the whole of quick messaging people and whatnot. In fact, if you want to look at a map that makes you feel real old, go look at old cell phone coverage maps from 1999 or 2002 and go, whoa, you did not have much use of a cell phone in the late 90s and early aughts. They really didn't. There wasn't a whole lot of coverage. But obviously that has changed a lot today. In 2006, there were 12.5 billion text messages a month. A year later, 45 billion. In 2017, there were 781 billion text messages being sent in the country, just in the U.S. alone, not over the world. And by now, pretty close. We're over 1 trillion per month sent. So much. In fact, recent studies have shown that most people prefer text messages over phone calls from friends, family, and even businesses. They prefer them over emails. They're short, to the point. They get a high open rate. So text messaging is as ubiquitous today than ever before. Pretty amazing stuff. Obviously, back in 1992, you didn't have these little keyboards. You had the T9. You had to go with the thumb, and you had to hit the 3 times, the 5 4 times to spell out words to send out. You're limited to 140 characters, which is influenced how Twitter started. Twitter was originally more of a text message posting system. You can still do it via text message on Twitter, I believe. But influenced that. But now you can send many more text messages. Some text messages are entirely too long. Ugh, should have just called me. I want you to send me War and Peace. Entirely too much. But anyways, this week was the anniversary of the first text message sent. So pretty amazing stuff. Whatnot. Now there are competitors out there, by the way. The WhatsApp competes with text messaging. That's sent over data and whatnot. So maybe text messaging has a future. Maybe it'll come down a bit as these other apps have more utility, more features, more encryption. There's a lot of apps out there for two-way communication have encryption with it that is much better than text messages. So, I think text messages are here to stay, but the sort of increasing per month text sent may level out over time, whatnot. So anyways, just wanted to share that fun tech milestone with you. Speaking of milestones, time to celebrate a birthday. This is a radio station, so it would behoove me to mark the 40th birthday of Britney Spears. Yes, Britney Spears is 40 years old, folks. So if text messages didn't make you feel old, Britney Spears might. Just turned 40, and if you've been living under a rock lately, you will also remember that she has recently gotten out of her 13-year conveyorship. Am I saying that right? I feel like I'm saying that right. Conservatorship. What's that, you ask? Well, for the last 13 years, she had little or no say over her life. Basically, she was, like how you have like legal guardians being charged children. It's kind of like the adult version of that. So her father and a lawyer pretty much made all of her decisions for the last 13 years. Basically, where she would go, where she would perform, signing her contracts, managing her money. She even had her own ATM card. I don't think she even had her own cell phone. So this was after her somewhat of, I guess you could say, mental health crisis she had over a decade ago. But this conservatorship went on a bit too long, and there were some janky things going on there. And there was a Instagram campaign, the Free Britney campaign, a few documentaries about her, and then eventually this was ended, and she now has legal control over her own life again. And she was like, "Yeah, it was really terrible. These people really did have my best interest in mind, and I legally wasn't allowed to say anything. Like, if she went against it, they could put her in a psychiatric hospital and lock her down and whatnot." It was not a great situation. It has put a lot of new light on these conservatorships and how closely they're monitored. Because it's not like it's a one-and-done thing. These things need to be renewed. And it didn't seem like anyone was picking up on like how this shouldn't be a thing anymore, and that people were taking advantage of it. So anyways, congratulations to Britney Spears for not only getting out of that terrible legal situation. It seems like she is in a much better place from a mental health perspective. She's adopted a puppy. That always helps anyone, really. I mean, I have a puppy right next to me right now, snoring away. Hopefully you do not hear her on this mic. I've had to adjust the settings of this mic a few times as she's gotten a little bit bigger to mute her dosage snores just next to me. But anyways, happy birthday to Britney Spears, 40 years old, new chapter in her life. I mean, though I don't know her personally, but I'm certainly very happy for her that she is moving forward. We now go back to the world of tech with LinkedIn. LinkedIn was a business social media network where professionals like to network with each other, and you often get LinkedIn requests day in and day out. I know that I do. Well, anyways, in India, it has added the language of Hindi to its supported languages and plans to now reach 500 million people in India with its social media network of LinkedIn, which is pretty amazing. I'm surprised it took them that long to do it, really. Hindi, which is spoken by a ton of people around the world. Over 600 million people globally speak Hindi, and is also the first Indian regional language to be sort of supported by the social media network. Now, As with most folks here in the United States of America, lots of people assume, hey, everyone knows English or English as a second language elsewhere. Not true. Of the 1.3 billion people in India, I would say less than 1 in 5, less than 20% actually speak English. So LinkedIn obviously does not have a lot of push into India's market share because it does not support a language that the majority of them understand and speak. But Microsoft, who owns LinkedIn, hopes to change this by adding Hindi as a supported language to the network. LinkedIn now supports 25 languages, has a website, mobile apps, etc., 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 and now lets people to access their feed, profile, and message other people in Hindi. I mean, it's a big deal. It's not easy to apply new languages to websites, so it took a lot of heaving and hauling and moving stuff around, but they have managed to do it. I'm sure they'll have to work out some kinks and whatnot, but as it were. This comes after 2 months after Microsoft shut down LinkedIn in China, which is the world's largest internet market, and just replace it with a job board. Obviously, there are some government restrictions of operating those sort of things in China, but they have now moved from one country with over 1 billion people to another country with over 1 billion people to support that. LinkedIn is also saying that in the coming months, they will be widening the range of job opportunities available for Hindi-speaking professionals across industries, and they're also looking to add more Hindi publishers and creators in the coming weeks to boost engagement in Hindi on the platform. So they are reaching out to people to post blogs and journals and business advice in Hindi on the LinkedIn network in order to get people engaged with it, which is just a good marketing idea. So, my fantastic friends in India, you're about to get your hands on big efforts from LinkedIn to make it more accessible to the entire country. Use it well. I myself, I have a LinkedIn profile per se. Certainly list this position on there as a host of a fantastic radio show. I'm not much of a network, though. Kind of like people like coming to me. So people use LinkedIn to find me. I really don't go out and find other people. But you should. It's a great website. It actually is a good way to network with other people. Next up, folks, let's talk about survival. Nature versus man versus nature. The situation. Snow is falling. Roads are treacherous. You can no longer travel. How do you shelter yourself from the frigid winter snows of a northern European winter? Well, some folks manage to do this by camping out in an IKEA in Denmark. Yes. 6 customers and about 24 employees were stranded overnight this week in Denmark during a snowstorm. And they camped out in IKEA overnight until morning when snowplows were able to basically plow parking lots, let them get out of there. You probably said, how much snow did Denmark get? It was about 12 inches. I guess that part of Denmark doesn't usually see that much snow. I guess 12 inches or rapid 12 inches would be really tough. They really didn't say how long it took to it to snow. But regardless, there was enough snow that people did not feel safe going home, so the manager decided to let the customers and employees sleep overnight there. And it was in Aalborg in Denmark when the department closed on Wednesday this last week. In fact, a toy store next door in this complex also let their employees also slept over in the IKEA as well. But if you're going to be stuck anywhere, sleeping overnight in IKEA, it's not too bad. According to store manager Pete Ilmos, he said, "We slept in the furniture exhibitions and our showroom on the first floor where we have bed mattresses and sofa beds. People could pick the exact bed they've always wanted to try." He continued that they spent the evening watching television and eating. As you know, IKEA is usually stocked full of food. There's a foodery there, Swedish meatballs. They're pretty good. That went, it went super well. It was a good night. All fun. According to the the member of a toy shop that next door that camped over there, it's much better than sleeping in one's car, which would be dangerous to do during a snowstorm. It has been nice and warm, and we're just happy that they would let us in. We laughed at the situation, probably because they will probably not experience it again. So, key survival tip, folks, if you are stuck in a snowstorm, try to do it inside an IKEA, at least in Denmark, because the Danes will let you sleep overnight, give you some Swedish meatballs, and watch TV during a snowstorm. So I thought that was a funny story. There are stories of people getting trapped overnight in a store. Obviously, a mattress store would be a good one. Toy store, not so much. But a store with furniture and beds, that's the way to go. That's the way to tough it out during a snowstorm. So, fun little story from Denmark. Now, if I was going to be stuck overnight in a snowstorm in IKEA, there'd be only one thing missing: some great beats. So if that happens in Denmark, I hope I'm stuck overnight in IKEA with my pal DC. But until that happens, I can listen to his show here on AWSM Radio, DC Live in Effect. He is our in-house DJ here, and he mixes it up every Friday night at 9 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from his South Florida compound. I don't think he gets snowed in down there in Florida on a regular basis. Maybe some hurricanes, but I can assure you that if you are stuck in his compound, he will treat you to Swedish meatballs and some great beats. But if you're not stuck with him, you can listen to him Fridays at 9 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m., DC Live in Effect, right here on AWSM Radio. Next, friends, we go to Scotland for just a fantastic story. Off of the Western Isles of Scotland, there are some islands off the coast of Scotland. Specifically, Ben Coola in the Outer Hebrides, which is apparently a place in Scotland on the Scottish Islands. There are a series of islands connected by causeways, but they're not actually connected to mainland Scotland. You gotta take a ferry back and forth. Peggy McSween, 86 years old, 50 years ago, when she was, 36-ish, lost her golden wedding band. Fell off her finger while she was pulling potatoes in her house or her garden and whatnot. She had a small farm, and she thought she had lost it forever. She was pulling up potatoes, fell off. By the time she got home, she realized it fell off, went back, looked for it, and just could not find it. Well, she eventually moved, and it was taken over by had several owners, but it was now owned by someone named Donald McPhee, who does not grow potatoes there, but who runs a hostel in the area. And so he was chatting with a neighbor, heard the story that this very kind old lady now had lost her wedding ring 50 years ago, and he is a amateur metal detectorist, so he likes to go around with metal detectors, and so he roughly knew where this potato patch was, and so he spent several days looking for this wedding ring. He says that he runs the Ben Coolas Newton's House Hostel. He spent 3 days searching out in the area, and he dug 90 holes before he finally found the ring. Because, metal detectors just don't go bling, metal ring, bling, metal ring. It goes bling, and you don't know what's there. So he is pulling up old cans, horseshoes, etc., etc. But on the third day, he found the ring. He thought it was going to take him months to do it. Like, he's going to search and dig up holes. He really wanted to find it. He really, really wanted to find it, this ring, and he found it on the third day. He says he figured he had, to quote him, but on the third day, I found the ring. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I had searched the area of 500 square meters. It was a 1 in 100,000 chance, and certainly my best find. It was a fluke. There was technique involved, but I just got lucky. The ring was in immaculate condition. When she put the ring back on, she said it fit perfectly. She was very, very, very emotional finding it. She said he just came up to the door and said, "I have something to show you," and it was the ring. I couldn't believe it, but it was there. I thought I would never see it again. Her husband, John, they were married in 1958. He unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and had actually bought her a replacement ring while they were on vacation years later. And she was just really, really happy to have this ring back again. And, you know, we live in a really, really awful world sometimes. There's lots of folks out there that are just awful and terrible people, of which I'll probably be covering shortly. But there are great people out there, and this is just one of the things that are just really fantastic. Shows you there is still good in this world, and this is certainly one of those stories. So, congratulations there, Peggy. I'm glad your new bestie, Donald McPhee, and his new bestie, Peggy McSween, were able to find her old ring. She's now 86 years old, living the high life with her new gold ring. Well, not new, her returned gold ring. Congratulations to both of you, and I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. I read it 3 times, so I get all the details right. Just a really, really great story. From the brisk, wind-swept islands of western Scotland, which I assume are brisk and windswept, I've never actually been there, to the tropical islands of Fiji in the Pacific Ocean. Fiji, my friends, is now a travel destination again. They have officially reopened their borders to international travel this week. They're seeking to revive its dominant tourist industry. Pretty much, Fiji is not. They export 2 things: bottles of water and tourism. That's pretty much their only tourism they have there. Only industries they have there. They closed their border to all foreign nationals in March 2020 to curb the spread of COVID-19. Fiji does not have an advanced medical system they have over there, and so they wanted to keep their people safe. I believe they have done a decent job, but they are now officially reopened. You're probably saying to yourself, "Oh, Colt, that seems foolish. The pandemic's not over." They're going, well, actually, slow your roll there, Mississippi. 90% of all Fijian adults are now fully vaccinated. So they are a practically a fully vaccinated nation. 90% is way higher than, a lot of areas. But so they are now going to be open for business for tourists to a small number of countries at first, and then going to open up more and more as time goes on. Obviously, pandemic takes a turn for the worse with this Omicron nonsense. They might change their minds, but right now they are now open. To quote the director of the Fiji tourism company, Tewaka, James Sowain, said, "To see Fiji airline plane full up for us to come welcome those tourists today was so amazing. It was great, a great feeling. I'm glad to have them there personally." Tourists will have to stay 3 nights in an approved resort and undergo rapid testing. They can move around designated areas, including bars, restaurants, and the hotels, while they embark on some day trips and activities. So once you get there, you gotta get rapid testing, wait a few days, and then you can go out and about to check out Fiji. So there are still some, there's still some restrictions. But the resumption of tourism is a very big boon to this nation of 1 million people. Tourism is 40% of Fiji's economy, and the closure of the border resulted in 10% unemployment across the island. That's pretty big for for a small country. Still, they say the opening marks a risk to Fiji, with Australia as one of the few countries that's open to. It's also one of the few countries that have an Omicron variant, so they're still sort of, they're still being careful, but they are comfortable enough to get things going again in Fiji. I myself have never visited there. Maybe AWSM Radio will send me over there next year. I always say AWSM Radio is going to send me around the world. You know what? Never comes up in the meetings. Also, I never attend meetings. Also, I don't know if there's meetings. But if there is, maybe I'll go and I'll push for an international broadcast. That'd be fantastic. Is that in the budget? I don't think it's in the budget. Well, anyways, Fiji, it's open. Check with local operators to see if your country qualifies as being able to go to there. And if you do, send me a postcard. Oh boy, do I ever love postcards. We now go from Fiji to Germany. While Fiji is opening, Germany is back in a lockdown. Yes, they're a bit concerned about the Omicron COVID-19 variant. And so they announced a national lockdown, but only for those who are unvaccinated and have not recently recovered from COVID-19. If you are unvaccinated in Germany, you cannot go to non-essential stores, activities such as theaters and restaurants, and you have limits on private gatherings with other unvaccinated individuals. This is a pretty harsh lockdown regimen that they're doing here in Germany, really pushing forward for them to get that vaccine over there. Even though that 70% of them are vaccinated, there's a bit of concern that the Omicron variant is a bit vaccine resistant, so they don't want that floating around in the unvaccinated communities and start getting out into the vaccinated communities. So the best defense for Omicron, they're saying, is actually widely agreed by all scientists, not all scientists, let me rephrase, agreed by scientists tethered to reality, that getting your COVID vaccine plus shots, booster shots, is the best way to protect yourself from this this new variant that is popping up. They thought first it was in Africa, but it's actually detected first in Europe and also, I think, Malaysia as well. So, maybe not blame South African countries for this as much as you would like there, sir. But it is pretty serious. So Germany is locking them down there. Obviously, there's a lot of historical comparisons there by people who don't know how history works. I find that those who like to be armchair historians on Twitter one week are also the same people who are experts about, let's see here, constitutional process, elections, policing, race relations, football, and Star Trek. They're all experts in these areas, but have no really effing clue what they're talking about. As for me, I can't say I don't disagree with it. I find, listen, I'm just talking from a pure health perspective. You should get vaccinated. You just should. Okay, it's you've got your measles, you got your mumps, you got your, I don't think you get polio anymore. But you get, maybe you do, but you get those, okay? A lot of people are in the misunderstanding that vaccines mean it's like a one and done. I'm immune forever, just like chickenpox. No, that's how some vaccines work, but that's not how all vaccines work. That's like to say some squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, okay? Not a thing. It's like the flu shot is a flu vaccine. It doesn't always prevent it. It does take the edge off. The COVID-19 vaccine may not prevent it a lot. Gonna prevent a lot of it. Won't prevent all of it. It'll take the edge off. So you're not in the hospital tying up hospital resources that could be used for the guy who got hit by a truck. And you're thinking, there's other ways to treat COVID-19 other than the vaccine. Yes, there is. Those are $2-3 grand a pop. The vaccine is not. So you're adding more financial strain onto the insurances. So that's just from a health perspective, that's fine. From a society's perspective, I'm all for locking down the unvaccinated. Why? Why, you ask, Colt Sebastian Taylor? I'll tell you why, listening audience. They are some of the most obnoxious people I have ever come across. Yes. They are obnoxious, room temperature IQ, slack-jawed yokels. Not all. Some I'm sure are very smart, but a lot of them aren't. And you know what? If that part of society, they're also like the same people that yell at waitresses and waiters who don't get them their water fast enough. They're the same people who want to board first on a plane, and they're not in that group. They're the same people who demand to know why that the popcorn doesn't get enough butter. They're the same people who want to talk to a manager when something isn't in their own sort of personal code of being right. They are obnoxious people who, if they're going to be public health hazards, I'm fine with them not being in the theater or in the restaurants or in public non-essential areas. I'm fine with that. Absolutely. Perfect. Fantastic. And for those in the skilled labor, also, lots of firemen, lots of police, I want the vaccine. Hey, friends, love what you do. Thank you for helping society. But this is the part where you have to help society. But if you think you can get another job with the same union benefits at the same education level that you're at, more power to you. Go for it. So, while I do not think that we will have the level of lockdowns here in these United States as they do in Germany, I wouldn't be against it. I would not be against it. Not even from a health perspective, just from a societal perspective of not running into obnoxious people day in and day out or not. So, here's hoping. Won't happen, but here's hoping. Now, there's another thing that I'm hoping out there in the world is that I hope you are tuning into the Rock Sessions. Yes, that's the transition I'm doing here. The Rock Sessions, it's our drive time show here on AWSM Radio, making sure that your evening commute home is fun. Rox is fantastic with her lovely, lovely voice that often distracts me. I sometimes can't concentrate. She's just so fantastic and alluring and whatnot. So, but she has the hottest music on the charts. Some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. You do not want to miss out while you listen to the Rock Sessions here on AWSM Radio. Next up, folks, as you know, I enjoy doing this radio show for several reasons. Like communicating with you, joining you every week, sharing some fun stories with you, occasionally going off on tangent about something, slamming Hyundai, always a fantastic pastime to take down that terrible car company down a few notches. Well, anyways, the thing is, one of the biggest reasons why I do this is to use my influence to slam other companies. So I have 2 complaints this week. They were just immensely frustrating. First up, Lowe's. So I like to decorate my abode for the holidays. Went to Lowe's to pick up some wreaths, and I saw wreaths. Like, whoa, those are some nice wreaths. And there was a sign hanging on the chart that said 2 for $20. Well, that's a good deal. Picked those up, got some extension cords, went to the checkout, and they rung them up, $35 each. Like, There was a sign that said 2 for $20. So, oh, let's go check that. Maybe it was a Black Friday deal. So I waited and waited and waited about 3-4 minutes. They came back like, oh, that was the rack next to it. So Lowe's put the sign advertising 2 for $20 wreaths on the rack of wreaths it didn't apply to. That, my friends, is what we call deceptive marketing. So I will tweet out this picture also later today and tag AWSM Radio. I'm sure they'll retweet it and show you that this is obviously they tried to pull a fast one. So instead of paying $20 for 2 wreaths, I paid $70. I could have gone out there and got the other ones, but I really liked them, and now I was committed. So I guess success on their part. But Lowe's, I expect much better of you. Sent you that picture, complained to you, and you never tweeted me back. Apologies, or like a gift card, or like, oh, sorry, this is our mistake. We will make sure this store takes care of this. Nothing at all. Unlike the folks at CVS, who also irritated me this week, but had the decency and a good social media platform administrator to actually tweet me back. So this week, I was looking for at-home COVID-19 tests. Why, you ask? Well, hey, Omicron's poking around. I'm going to not go to the gym for 3 weeks because I don't really like how things are going. I'm going to work out at home. But I wanted, home tests for my own, safety. Safety, friends and family and whatnot. Like, if I'm not feeling too well, let me just get a home test, do a quickie, rather than go to a Rite Aid or another CVS, get tested, and wait 2-3 days, and then whatnot. But I got some home tests. Want to get some home tests. Called 3 Rite Aids, sold out. Called 2 Walgreens, sold out. Post-Thanksgiving, they got cleared out. Called a Walmart, sold out. Called a CVS. Yep, we got it. Went down there, went to the front desk, like a COVID home test. Do we have those? Someone on the phone said you did. Phew. You may want to check with the pharmacy. Drop. Stand in line. Wait for a person. Hi, I like a COVID-19 home test. Ha. Do we have those? There's none back here. You may want to try the front desk. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll see myself out. So that was immensely irritating. Having to haul my ass out of bed and my house on a cold day and go be just ultimately disappointed. However, CVS, unlike Lowe's, actually tweeted me wanting to know what store it was so they could help correct that process. So at least CVS is doing their job. Lowe's, not at all. Probably saying to yourself, well, hey, Lowe's didn't tweet you. Does that make Hyundai better than Lowe's since Hyundai engaged with you a bit? No, Hyundai is still the worst company. Why? Because it cost me $4,000. I haven't forgotten about you, Hyundai, and I never, ever, ever will. In fact, I might commission somebody on LinkedIn to write an article in Hindi for LinkedIn to talk about how terrible you are. Because I can do that now because LinkedIn supports Hindi. So I might take advantage of that new feature. But that would cost money, so we'll see if I actually do it. Probably not. But anyways, yes, I do this show because I love talking to you, and I like complaining about businesses and putting it on the air. Ooh, Lowe's. Well, if there's one thing people like to complain about, it's their local sports teams. And my friends, if you love sports, then you will love Married to the Game. It's AWSM Radio's very own sports show, airing every Wednesday at 9 p.m. It features Joe, Brian, Mac Daddy as they bring in their insights, analytics, and expertise to all things sports. And what kind of sports show would it be without a little trash talking along the way? So join them for Married to the Game, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. And friends, clock it. We are out of time this week here on the show. My goodness, that just blew right through. So thank you for joining me here today on the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. You can find me on the Twitter, Instagram, Cameo, also on Rizzle at Colt S. Taylor. Subscribe to the podcast version of this show at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. And of course, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com for all of your Colt Sebastian Taylor needs. Feel free to hit me up on social media channels. Would love to hear from you. If you think there's a story I've missed or a story I need to clarify, or you just want to say how awesome I am, or terrible, I don't care, I like the attention, please hit me up there. All right, my fantastic friends, until next time, I'm Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.